Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over the factoring by grouping algorithm. Okay, so the instructions are for us to factor the given expressions completely. All right, so let's say we have for number 1 the quadratic expression 24x squared minus 16x plus 27x minus 18. All right, so the task is to factor by grouping. All right, before we get started, let's take a look at the steps that are going to guide our factorization process. Okay, so number 1 is basically a visual alteration. Okay, you're going to partition the expression down the center. Okay, partition down the center. So when you partition your expression down the center, you're going to have a left side and a right side. So from the left and right sides, you're going to break down the terms. Okay, so break down all terms if possible. All right, both on the left and the right side. And then you're going to proceed to factor out the GCF from both sides, the left and the right sides. All right, now when you factor out the GCF, what you know is that you're going to have an identical quantity present itself on the left and the right side. So you're going to factor out the identical quantity. And then lastly, you're going to group the terms that are left behind. Okay, group remaining terms. All right, so these are basically the steps that we're going to be using to factor out this quadratic expression by grouping. All right, so we have 24x squared minus 16x plus 27x minus 18. So we're going to start off by executing step number 1, which is to partition the expression down the center. All right, make sure it's right to the left of the middle sign. So there goes your partition right there. All right, so what we're going to do next is break down each term. Okay, if you can mentally see what the greatest common factor is and factor it out, that's good. You can fast forward past this part. But if you have trouble with that, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take each term and break it down. Step number 2, using our factor tree, okay? So if you have 24x squared as the first term, you want to break this down using prime factors only. So this first prime number is 2. 2 goes into 24 because it's even. 12 times 12x squared. This is even, so 2 goes into it. 2 goes into 12 6 times. And then 2 goes into 6 3 times. So times x times x. All right, so 24x squared broken down completely is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times x. All right, now let's move on to 16x. Let's break that down completely. 2 goes into 16 8 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times. All right, 2 goes into 4 2 times. Bam. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 2's and an x. All right, so let's move stuff around a little bit to make some space. So we're going to have 2 4 2's, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an x. Okay. Now 27. Let's break that down. 27x. Now if you want to break down 27x, we know it's odd, so 2 doesn't go into it. 3 does. 3 goes into x 9 times. All right. And then 3 goes into 9 3 times. All right, so if you place it here, bring down, now if it's positive, no sign change happens, right? If you bring down a negative sign, then you have sign changes happening when you factor out the GCF. All right, so bring down the sign, break this down. 27 broken down is 3 times 3 times 3 times x. All right, and then lastly, we're going to break down 18. 2 goes into 18 9 times, and then 3 goes into 9 3 times. Bam. So 18 can be broken down into 2 times 3 times 3. All right, so now we've broken down all terms according to step 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to factor out the GCF from the left side and the right side. All right, so think about this side right here. That's the right side. And this side right here, I'm sorry, that's the left side and this is the right side. So let's look at the left side first, factor out the GCF. So what's common to the left and the right of this minus sign that we have here? What's common? We have, let's see, I have a 2 and a 2. I have another 2 and another 2. And you have a 2 and a 2. 3 2's right there that are common. Let me put up another barrier here so you can see what's going on. So we're going to be factoring out the GCF from this side right here. Okay. All right. So we have 3 2's that we can factor out. And then we can also factor out an x. So factor out an x and an x. All right. So if we do that, we can factor out 2 times 2 times 2. 3 2's and an x times x. Now when you factor out those terms, what you're doing is you're dividing by those terms, okay? So these 2 2's factor out as 1, these 2 2's factor out as 1, and then these 2 2's factor out as 1. The x's factor out as 1, and then combine what you have left, which is 3 times x right here, minus, and on the right side is just 2. Bam. Okay, so let's shift our attention to the right side. What's common on the left and on the right side of our partition? Let's put up a line there just to help us see what's going on. All right, so what's common on the left and the right side? We can take out, 2 3's. You can take out a 3 and a 3, and another 3 and another 3. Okay, on the right side of our partition. So we have, take out the 2 3's, 3 times 3. When you factor out those 3's, you're dividing out. Okay, so this 3 and this 3 comes out as a 3. This 3 and this 3 comes out as a 3. All right, and you're left with 3x minus 2. Okay, all right, let's put the numbers that we factored out from both sides together. 2 times 2 times 2 times x. 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 times x. That's 8x factored out. So we have 8x times the quantity 3x minus 2 plus, and then 3 times 3 is 9 times the quantity 3x minus 2. Now what you notice is that we're ready to move on to step number 4. All right, which is to factor out the identical quantities. So you can see, do you see two quantities that are identical on both sides? We have the 3x minus 2 and the 3x minus 2. Okay, so we factor those out. Remember, when you're factoring out, it's as though you're dividing both sides of the partition by that term that you're factoring out. It's like the opposite of distribution. Okay, so when you factor out 3x minus 2 from both sides, these become 1 because it has already been extracted. All right. Now, you notice that you still have two terms on both sides of the partition left. You have 8x and 9. Guess what? Step number 5, you group those two terms together. 8x plus 9. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your final answer. Let's just write it down here. Your final answer is 3x minus 2 times 8x plus 9. All right, so that's how you factor by grouping. All right, let's take a look at another example, question number 2. Now this one is a little bit, it involves an additional component here, okay? Now this is the deal. For number 2, we have x squared plus 2x minus xy minus 2y. Now if you have a minus in between the first two terms and the terms on the right, then in that case you have to be careful. Proceed with caution because the signs are going to be flipping on the right side. All right. So x squared plus 2x minus xy minus 2y. So following the steps that we outlined earlier, what we're going to do first is we're going to partition our works. Partition the problems down the center. Okay. All right. And then now we're going to break down all terms if possible. Oh, this one's easy to break down. So this one is just x times what x, which is x squared plus 2 times x. And then this is just negative x times y minus 2 times y. Okay? So from the left and the right sides, we are going to factor out the GCF. All right, let's just make this one red. So I'm going to put the line here. So we're going to try to factor out the GCF from the left side of the partition and also factor out the GCF from the right side of the partition. Okay, so let's focus our attention on the left side. What's common? You have an x and an x, that's common. So we can factor that out. All right, when you factor it out, it's as though you're dividing by that term. You factor it out, so those become 1. And you're left with x plus 2. Bam. On the right side, what's common? You have a y and a y, all right? But also, so let's see, we have a y and a y. So we're going to factor those out. But since we have a minus here, we're forced to factor out the negative, okay? So we're going to factor out a negative y. Bam. Now this is the deal. When you factor out the negative y, these signs are going to change. All right, since you took out a negative from this term right here, so this becomes 1. And this one is going to become a plus. This becomes 1. And since you're taking out a minus, this will change to a plus also. So those signs change. All right, it becomes the opposite. So bringing it down, this will become positive x because you took out a negative y from it. And this will become positive 2 because you took out a negative y from it. So don't forget, anytime you factor out a negative, signs flip to the opposite signs. All right? Now you take a look at the term on the left and the right. Do you see identical quantities? Absolutely. We have x plus 2 and x plus 2 are identical to both sides. So we factor out that identical quantity. Okay? And we're left with x minus 2. And then we group those together as a term that's left behind. All right, so our final answer is x plus 2 times x minus y. Bam. So there goes the answer to question number 2. All right, now we have 3 practice problems for you to try out to demonstrate mastery of what we just talked about. So go ahead and pause the video presentation at this time and factor out these 3 problems. When you're done, click on the playback button and we're going to show you what the answers are. All right, welcome back. So hopefully you had the time to practice to try out these problems. Let's take a look at the answers. For number 1, the answer is x plus 7 times 3x plus 2. For number 2, the answer is n plus 4 times n minus 4. And then for number 3, the answer is 5z plus 2 times 2z minus 3. So how well did you do in these practice problems? Let us know in the comment section below how well you scored. If you have any questions, just specify it below and we'll be more than glad to assist you. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and also the notification bar for notifications of future updates. Tons of support resources can be found at mathgotserved.com to check it out. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.